Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. And how old were you when you found out that the same guy who directed the original Manchurian Candidate also directed the Ben Affleck starring heist movie Reindeer Games? My name is Brady Davis.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
So the Robert Wise, who directed The Sound of Music and I believe the original West Side Story, also directed Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I'm James McCarthy.
He also was the second director for The Island of Dr. Moreau. He was the guy that they that after they kicked out the first director, and he stayed on the island and then snuck in and was part of the production. He was the second guy that they brought in.
It's weird.
The Manchurian Candidate, one of the classic movies.
It's weird how that is the only movie of the three that you've mentioned.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like the first two movies, Reindeer Games and The Manchurian Candidate. I have no idea what those are.
Oh, wow.
But I know
our main topic is going to be fantastic. I'm just saying that right now.
But God forbid I know what
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, Island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah, God forbid that I actually know what that is.
The only reason I enjoyed that movie as a young one was for Fairuza Balk being a cat lady.
Jesus.
No, we'll be all day if I'm telling you Island of Dr. Moreau trivia. So we have to move on.
Was it a book that was like in your bathroom that you say, "Oh, I'll read this while I'm
fun
pooping."
facts.
Like, fun facts about the Island
that would be
of
weird
Dr.
if I
Moreau.
had a book just on
The Island of Dr. Moreau. Maybe it's just a film trivia in general.
There's
the behind the scenes.
There's a documentary
but in a novella.
where they go over the disastrous production. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a really good documentary. And then there was a couple of, I think, How Did This Get Made did a thing on it way back, like several years ago. So yeah. But again, we'll be here all fucking night. If I just start telling you Island of Dr. Moreau trivia, we'll get to that one day. So Ethan, what have you been doing?
What have I been doing?
Shit. If you are noticed. Sorry, I got to talk about Island of Dr. Moreau, and I got excited, and I forgot. If you were counting the introduction, there was one less voice that you didn't hear, and that is one Jody Kite, and he is feeling under the weather, and he told us to carry on our wayward sons, and to continue on in his name.
Unfortunately, there will not be peace when we are done.
Yeah. So there's that. That bit of business is out of the way. So now, Ethan, what have you been doing?
There's been some video games and TV shows in the works for me. Me and Bianca, we picked up Split Fiction today.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
It is the newest game by Hazelight Studios, the same people that made It Takes Two and A Way Out. I'm enjoying it so far. We only got about an hour, 2 hours of gaming before I literally came up here to do this.
Oh, okay.
I'm enjoying it. It's basically the two main characters. They are publishers for video game companies, and this one company, Rand? No. So this big evil corporate guy is trying to collect all of the ideas from publishers in this weird video game simulation chamber. But the two main characters, they accidentally got in the same chamber, which is causing the entire machine to like glitch out. And so the two characters, they're going back and forth from one character's science fiction stories to another's fantasy settings.
I hope this ends in like a Fly situation. Yeah, I hope that you have to like merge together.
The bodies are merged and they just purge everyone.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
I wasn't expecting that, but now I'm down for it.
Yeah. I wish that you could like, if that I want that to happen. It's not going to happen, but and then just to see Bianca's reaction to it would be just the funniest thing.
The other part of video game news is there's a game coming out next month that I am very excited for. It's called South of Midnight.
Okay.
Have you heard,
I have not heard that one.
of it?
Is that an AEW pay-per-view?
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
But
the only thing that I'm paying attention to is the Lunar remasters coming out, or remakes, or however the fuck they're calling it.
Yeah. Konami almost got me with Suikoden 1 and 2 coming out yesterday. Which I've been waiting for a while, but
yeah, unfortunately, like I can't get into something big like that right now. It has to be small games or games that I've already played. Sorry, we're taking over your thing.
All good. What would an episode be if it wasn't that?
Yeah.
It's made South of Midnight is being made by Compulsion Games, which is the same people that made We Happy Few, which I have not seen any type of gameplay for it, but I'm told it's really good from 2016.
Yeah.
It's basically gods of old Appalachia and like the mythos of the Deep South.
That's cool.
And there's a giant talking catfish.
Okay, yeah.
And a giant alligator that is the size of Deer Island.
Okay.
Basically. And it's about this girl that's trying to find her mom and discover old forgotten family secrets. Everything that I'm seeing about it looks really cool, and I like the notion of South mythos.
Oh yeah. That sounds really cool. That actually sounds interesting. I might actually look that up.
Comes out in April.
Well, it'll have to be put on the pile, I guess, because I only there's a game coming out, and that's the only one that I'm going to be playing.
I'm still playing Metaphor, which is starting to become a pain to finish because I'm trying to make sure I'm properly leveled before going.
The grind set in. Okay.
I'm trying to grind for the best weapons and the best builds. So that's the video games. TV show wise, I finished Dan, which I'm a little weirded out that it left off weirdly.
Yeah, it really just stopped. It didn't finish anything. It was very annoying.
I would have expected it to finish out the arc that it was on instead of literally cutting off before anything good happened.
Yeah. It's a really good show, though. I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait for July for the next season. And then I'm back with Suits. I'm on season 7. I'm almost finished with it. There's only 9 of them.
Your Suits flared up again?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Okay.
They made a spinoff show,
Suits
LA.
Yeah.
Rick Hoffman is supposed to set to appear in an episode as well. So we're gonna get we're not just gonna get Gabriel Macht back as Harvey Specter, but we're also gonna have Lewis Litt as well.
I've heard it's not good.
Yeah. I saw the trailers for it and like a brief 5-minute clip. Not interested.
Yeah. I remember back in the day we'd watch Suits a whole lot. But that was like all of those USA shows you could just kind of put on and not really think about.
But yeah, that's me.
Okay. Jay, what have you been up to?
Marvel Rivals, and that's pretty much it there.
Shotgun to the back of a head.
So I was playing Punisher, and Magneto stepped into the room, and then I shot him to death. And it's like, this is not how this works.
Yeah, that shouldn't work that way.
There's a Dominion map, and Dominion works. You have 3 capture points, and they're 3 separate maps, and whoever wins the first of 2 of those maps wins the round. And it takes place in the international or the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, and one of them is the Stellar Starport, and they have like little lounges that you can just sit in, and like I'm shooting Magneto, and like I'm blowing up couches that have little like giant panther plushies on them, and this would never happen in the comics.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Marvel Rivals, you're achieving so many things doing what you're doing. There is one
of the main things about the intergalactic
Empire of
Wakanda is that the thing that they do is they enslave people and wipe their memories and they become like a lower class, and they do all the work, and then you have the upper people. Like it's basically it's a like the whole when they introduced that in the comics, it's spoilers. T'Challa went there to check it out, and he got enslaved and mind wiped. So he's with the resistance trying to take them down because it is a corrupt empire.
And that's the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yep. It plays a little different in the game. It's not a 616.
Yeah. I know that in Rivals, there's like they really pull from all the different multiverses.
Yeah, and they also kind of
because like Psylocke isn't any of the ones that you would know. She's actually a lesser known version of Psylocke.
Yeah, which I think
she's not Bessie Braddock, and she's not Quanon.
Quanon, yeah.
Who are the two ones that everybody knows, but she's not either of those. She's like a third one that was in like three issues.
There you go. Then this past Saturday is the time of our recording. It was WWE's Elimination Chamber. Nothing really happened. No things.
Nothing to note.
Nothing of note. Oh wait, hold on a minute. I got a note right here. It's from H. Hunter Helmsley. What was that? It's like, no, I'm just going to stop that right there. No, John Cena turned heel for the first time in 7,700 days.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. People are saying it's the biggest heel turn of all time. It's like, slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. It might be. I think you need time and the aftermath of it to kind of
Wrestling with Regret
that.
Brought up a really big point on that one. Like he was like, yes, it's a huge heel turn, but it doesn't particularly compare to say like Hulk Hogan turning heel. People hated Hulk Hogan after that. Most of the people who saw John Cena go heel went, "Oh God, finally! Shit, this is going to be awesome." They were cheering it. Like nobody cheered Hulk Hogan turning heel.
I think my statement in the chat was the prophecy has been fulfilled.
Yeah,
like people have been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah, people who have disliked John Cena for a very long time and have constantly asked, why has he not turned heel? We're like, oh my God, thank God. Nobody did that for Hulk Hogan. Everybody was like, fuck Hulk Hogan. He's a piece of shit. I hope he dies.
No, hang on a second. R-Truth, he might be onto something, okay? He's still believing the light at the end of the tunnel, okay?
I think he's coming to terms with it, and he's not dealing with it very well.
No, he's not. He's not doing it at all.
Like I think he posted something that was like, "Why John Y" is like his banner on Twitter. Yeah, he's not doing well. He's not doing well at all. Poor guy.
Yeah.
There were plenty of videos of crying children and children
check on him.
I just saw one where a kid was like throwing away his John Cena figures down the stairs.
Notice he didn't throw them in the toilet and flush them. We're gonna keep those goddamn.
Yeah.
There was a photo I saw. It was like John Cena. He had like a promotion with McDonald's, and someone's in the drive-thru, and there's this on the electronic screen. It's John Cena smiling. Like, how dare you smile at me after what you did?
Well, someone on Twitter is verified as Santa, and and before this happened, they was like, John Cena's on the nice list, and then afterwards they were like, never mind.
Disregard.
It does have the potential to be like a really big thing, because now it opens up. Because to be honest, like this is his last year, and it was gonna be, to me, it was gonna be kind of boring, and this makes it so much more interesting. Even if it's like he fucking beats Cody, like it still makes it interesting, because then there's tons of things that you can do, and then you have Cody fighting back up to the title again, which is when Cody is at his best. Really sad that we got Travis Scott in the middle of all that bullshit. Like there's always a fly in the ointment, isn't there?
Well, it proved itself. It legitimately proved itself when he strikes him, when he struck him in the head and like reportedly popped his eardrum and gave him a black eye.
Yeah.
He's not trained to work.
Yeah.
And work in the wrestling sense. It's like to be able to make these things look like they hurt and not actually hurt.
It also doesn't help that The Rock, before then, I think that he was talking with him about like getting a hit in, and The Rock told him, if you're gonna get your knuckles bloody, get him bloody. And he took that as to mean, oh, I can just actually smack the shit out of him.
And the shot didn't look that good because I
No,
watched
it looked like
it.
shit because real hits don't
yeah.
look good.
Yeah,
Real hits are dirty and disgusting and nasty.
yeah.
Like none of it really punching somebody looks like shit and it hurts everybody. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I just hope that say he wins WrestleMania, he becomes 17-time champion. I don't want his last year to be him being the kind of like the Roman champion, whereas like he only wrestles PPLs and like hardly
Roman would
hardly
only show up
wrestles
for mostly the big ones.
The big ones,
exactly. I don't want. I just hope that his final year is him still participating as
I'm hoping he is
through and through.
He doesn't have a true part-timer schedule, which I feel like he's not necessarily going to. I feel like he's going to put effort into it.
Despite the fact that he goes straight from Royal Rumble saying, I'm submitting myself for Elimination Chamber. I'll see you then. I'm going to Bolivia to film. Barring that, assuming he doesn't have any other like contractual obligations going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, but just quick things. I thought the women's lost in a lot of the shuffle. The women's Elimination Chamber I thought told a very good story.
Mm-hmm.
You have Naomi getting literally murdered by Jade. Like Jade Cargill was out, and the only thing she practiced was how to murder someone.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, the beat down there, and Bianca's selling of it, not as the person being beat down, but the person like, I'm trapped in here and I can't. What's going on?
Like you literally believed like she had no fucking idea that was going to happen.
It's arguably the best that. Why the fuck was I about to call Jade Cargill Kate Winslet? What is wrong in my brain?
That is
Jesus Christ.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Like, spoilers. We're going to be talking about Oscars throughout the years and like things that shouldn't have won and things that thank God they absolutely did. So maybe I've got Kate Winslet on the brain from that. But I'm even then like the tabs I've got open are the best actors. I don't get that. But yeah, Jade Cargill looked like $1 million. Let's see where we can go with that. It's always with her. It's been start stop, both here and in AEW. Yeah. And I want to see if we can get like a prolonged, like good push with her going forward.
And from what I've seen, like it was not 100% like who actually was the heel. Everybody's kind of assuming Naomi, but like it really wasn't. We don't know for sure, but I think because her and Jey Uso were at like some premiere, and she had like a matching a neck brace that matched her dress. So it's like, oh, she's the heel. She definitely this is not Jade turning heel and coming and whooping Naomi's ass. This is she found out Naomi was the one who put her on the shelf and she whooped her ass.
There you go.
Continuation from the chamber, Bianca won, and as of this past Monday, Io won the Women's Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah,
in a good match. I'm glad they didn't go with a DQ because that I think would have cut the legs out of Rhea's run even more than actually losing it. Ended up doing.
Yeah,
I thought it was a solid match with one of the best in-ring women's performers I've ever seen in Io Shirai. I'm going to use her actual original name. She is fantastic on the mat, on the turnbuckle, outside. I think people we've been sleeping on her for a while and not really giving her she's got her recognition because she's going into WrestleMania as the champion, which I think is a very powerful statement there. At least for me.
And I feel like what they're either going to do with that is they want to put the belt back on Bianca and they didn't want her to beat Rhea for it, or they're going to possibly put Rhea in it. It's going to be a triple threat. I don't know.
I really don't want to. I don't want to.
I knew as soon as I said that you were going to say that.
I don't. Yeah, well, I mean that's in with me. But like, especially at WrestleMania, I like two sides with a single issue between.
Yeah.
fight it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you start tacking onto that shit, like when it becomes more than just one side.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Rhea like having her breakdown about it, like because I can absolutely envision this is the way it turns. So, but but that's just me on that. I really like the Trish and Tiffany Stratton versus
Nia
Jax and Poison
Candice
Pixie,
LeRae.
Candice LeRae. I thought it was a really solid match. Again, Lost in the Shadow. That's one of the best lights out matches I've seen between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I think they knocked it completely out of the park. They played it up for a crowd that knew that they were going to eat that up.
Yeah.
They didn't go as far as they did when they were young men in ROH, but I'm kind of glad they didn't because holy hell, those were just chop houses when they were wrestling.
Shaved head Randy is back.
Shaved head Randy's back. That's good. Like we're getting a lot of big pieces coming back just in the nick of time. So I'm really now. I was good with WrestleMania. Now I'm really excited for WrestleMania, and I can't wait to see what's going on.
I am also glad that the way they did the heel turn was it is The Rock corrupting Cena.
Yeah.
Because this is a way to get The Rock involved because he wants to be involved, so they're going to involve him without necessarily going, okay, he's just gonna fight Cody for the thing. This that makes it so much interesting. Rock's never been a whisper in your ear type character, but fine, whatever. I'll take what I can get as long as it's not just fucking Dwayne Johnson showing up and saying, "Hey, I want to be in the match now. Put me in the match."
She's won all of her. She's gotten into WrestleMania fighting for the championship and winning the championship,
and defending the championship. Yeah, I don't think she's lost at WrestleMania.
Has she? You forgot the big one.
Which one?
Remember when she? I believe she won the title, and then Becky Lynch came back and immediately beat her.
That was at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
That was she won it back at SummerSlam.
No, she lost it at SummerSlam.
She lost it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've determined my brain works. Thank
and mine
God.
Doesn't.
And no, just to short out these arena shows, especially the open air stadium ones, look very, very similar almost all the time. Even when it comes to a WrestleMania. The one exception I would say for open stadium would be the LA one because that one kind of because it had the columns and kind of it was a Greekish set.
They don't do much with the big shows. They don't used to. All the shows had really thematic, set decor, and they really don't do that much anymore. Especially for the big shows, they all just
if you're not looking at the logo, it can be difficult.
It's very because they just do it's all the big columns with the lights at the top, and then a huge ramp, and there's no Backlash used to have huge sickles flying back and forth. Halloween Havoc had the big green head.
TLC they just had chairs on strings near the entrance ramp.
Yeah, they don't really do that theming much anymore. It's mostly just we're just gonna do it in a weird way. Royal Rumble is the only one because sometimes they'll have they don't have a ramp. They have the kind of hallway type thing, the walkway that kind of turn. That's
where you've
got
an L shape. 15 minutes before you actually get to the ring. Yeah, no, that one always kind of get to the ring. Come on.
But especially SummerSlam and WrestleMania, they always look very, very similar.
I will say this, and my love for the city is that the New Orleans WrestleMania is 30 and I believe 36. Especially the 36 one because that one had the fleur-de-lis and it had the green and it had the green, gold, and purple. And just because I remember Braun Strowman going out in the audience looking for a tag team partner.
You're my partner.
And it ended up being a child, which was one of the referee's sons.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Hiroshi Tanahashi is fucking raising his hand in the crowd and pick me. And then yes. Oh, what could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So that's it for me.
That's it for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually have a decent amount of things that I want to talk about. Starting off, I started a new book. I was listening to a podcast that had an author that I really like, Jason Pargin. He is one of the Cracked alumni, and he has a newish book out. And he was actually "Hey, this Sunday, it's gonna be on sale for $3.99." And I was like, "Well, that means that I don't have to go out and get a book like I was wanting to do. So on Kindle, so or anywhere that you can get a book. But I
No
use
Barnes and
Kindle.
Noble purchase for you.
Yeah, that it actually saved me from. I went to Barnes and Nobles and didn't buy a goddamn thing. I was very proud of myself. But the book is, I'm starting to worry about this black box of doom. It's just kind of a comedy right now. It's really this kind of adolescent, is 20-something-year-old, riddled with anxiety. He's a streamer, and he gets a lift call from this girl dressed weird, and she has this giant black box with a it's almost like a roadie case with a radioactive sticker on it, and she's like, they're in LA or near LA, and she's like, hey, I need to get to Washington DC, and she talks him into taking her on a cross-country trip with this black box of doom in the back, and it's about them and all the people trying to track them down. I'm pretty early into it. I'm in the first few chapters. It's really not chapters, it's just like it switches point of views between like him, the kid, his dad, some scary dude who's looking what? You made a face.
I was following with you when you said like it switches point of views.
Yeah.
Like the person driving, and now a kid, his dad.
He's like early 20s, so he's basically a child.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The scary dude looking for them, an ex FBI agent who is trying to figure out what's going on with them. Some dude in fucking Nashville who's like doing internet sleuthing because he follows the guy on Twitch, like he's a Twitch streamer every once in a while, and he's trying to figure out what's happening with him. It's a pretty interesting book so far. It's not quite as funny as some of his other books. He has 2 series that are going. One is the John Dies at the End series, which I highly recommend. Really good horror comedy. And then there's the Zoe Ash series, which is more of like a sci-fi futuristic thing. They're both really good. I've only read one of the Zoe Ash novels, and it's Zoe Punches the Future in the Dick. But I've read all the John series, and the John series is very, very good. But this one seems really good. This is standalone. And the good thing about all of his novels is you can jump in wherever you want. You can just pick one. None of them, they might mention some stuff in the past one, but it's never like important to the plot. They'll just go, oh yeah, we had to deal with this thing back in the day. But he purposely writes them where you can start at any point. But this one, the standalone so far, is pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to see where it goes. So there's that. I actually also played a it's not a new video game, it came out in 2016, but I played a video game this past week because I just finished like watching something on PlayStation, and they're having some kind of sale right now. I just decided to look at it, and I actually had like $5 or $6 already on my account from when I put some money from a card on there. And they had the game Firewatch for like $3. And I'd heard things about it, and I decided to play it. It calls itself like an adventure game. It's what derogatorily is often called a walking simulator. I think it's a little bit more than that, but I don't mind that if it's a short game and it's more about the story. I'm okay with that, with like not a whole lot of gameplay. But you play this like middle-aged guy, Henry, who takes up a job in the Sonora National Park as a fire watcher, and you're only the only other person that you talk to, and you talk to him over radio, you never see him, is she's kind of like she's in another fire tower, and she's kind of like the person who's over all the fire watch people, named Delilah, and weird shit starts happening. And you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, but also dealing with like there are fires that happen. It's a pretty interesting game. I liked it a lot.
I've heard people call it a cozy mystery style game.
Yeah, there's some tense parts on it.
I enjoy Firewatch. It's one of the few cozy games I've actually played and enjoyed.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It's a quick four hour game. I played it in one night. And it gets a little tedious kind of when you have to like kind of backtrack, but mostly most of the time when you feel like you're going to have to backtrack, they just kind of cut to the next day, so that's good. But
I did not appreciate whenever Delilah told me, it was like, I see some I know you're not in your tower, but I see someone in there.
Oh yeah, that was really
I did not appreciate
that.
that.
Oh shit. Yeah, there were some points where it was really tense. But yeah, it's a good game, especially for $3. Like that's a good game for $3. So
there was another game where you're playing as a fire watcher, and it's the middle of the night, and you have like your like really good camera, and you're taking pictures. You see like some group of people that's like way out in the distance. You see them kind of like using shovels digging several human-shaped holes with several mysteriously human-shaped bags right next to them, and you have the option to take a picture of it. You click the picture, and all of them stop and stare at you.
Oh wow.
I don't know what the game is called. I've been trying to find it ever since.
Was that the one Markiplier was playing?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that in particular because it's pitch perfect timing. You take the picture, and it's almost immediately like vroom, and then someone starts running towards you.
No, not someone. All of them.
Was it all of them?
Shit.
I just remember like
Damn.
there are certain moments that one was well earned because you're sitting this thing, okay, everything's gonna be fine, and then nothing's fine.
Yes.
Not a goddamn thing is fine.
1 minute dopamine is just going through, and then the next minute you're fighting for your fucking life.
Yeah. The only thing like that was really weird about the game is that and they do it because like it would kind of break part of the game, because the whole point is that you never see anybody else. Like you're really alone out there the whole time. Like even when you see people, it's from a distance.
Because then
you feel isolated.
You also like try and find the Tommy kid, right?
Well, no.
Or
there's like a couple of things that weird things that happen that you're trying to figure out what's going on. Like it feels like somebody's out there observing you, and then there's also there's like some fires that start that are kind of weird as well. There's a couple of little things all up in there that you're trying to kind of figure out. It was really weird that like there are no binoculars in the game. Again, it would break it because then you could see like detail on people, and that's not the point of the game. But like I feel like if you're in a Firewatch tower, like you're definitely
the first thing that you would get.
You're going to have binoculars. But like I realize like the whole point of the game is like you're supposed to feel isolated, and it's supposed to like push you towards Delilah, because you don't, that's your only contact. Like everybody else is just blobs, or you see like the aftermath of the people. But yeah, it's a good game. I thought, and I think it's already off of sale, to be quite honest. I think that's why I bought it when I did, because it was like ending pretty soon. So I think by the time this comes out, it will be off of sale. They also had whatever the console version for the Final Fantasy Dissidia fighting game. That's on sale too, but it's going to be on sale for a little bit longer. I'm going to eventually get that one though, because I had the second one on PSP, and I really like that game.
Apologies. I have one more thing I wanted to tell y'all. I apologize.
He's breaking format.
We do it all the time.
Yeah, we do.
You said PSP, and it reminded me of something.
Okay.
Bianca got me an early birthday present, because she is absolutely horrible about waiting for the event to give a present.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, it's almost March, which is technically almost your birthday, so here's your presents.
Yeah.
She got me the PlayStation Portable, the new one for the PS5,
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's cool.
and
Yeah.
it is really cool.
Oh, okay.
It's basically it uses remote play, and so
Uh-huh.
it has its little own screen with the PlayStation controls on the
Mhm.
sides. So I could just lay up in bed, play my games, and Bianca just read on her Kindle.
Okay,
And so
that's pretty cool.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
you,
sweet.
You said PSP and it triggered. Oh wait,
Oh, yeah.
something happened.
And the last thing I want to talk about, because the other thing that I was going to talk about, we're going to wait until our second half because it fits the theme. So Saturday before the Oscars, I got to watch Anora because it is only like $6.
That was well timed, sir.
It this year was like one of the years where this is the fewest amount of Best Picture nominees that I've watched before the Oscars. I usually try and get as many of them as I possibly can that I can easily watch and not spend like all the money watching them. And this was the one that I was definitely wanting to watch. I'm not going to talk about anything about it at the Oscars because we're going to talk about that later. So I'm just going to talk about it as the film. What drew me to it is two things. The director Sean Baker, who
Three Oscars in one night.
yeah. I don't know about the guy. It seems like he's got some let's say questionable follows on Twitter. But I've watched now 3 of his movies and I've liked all 3 of them. Them being The Florida Project, Red Rocket, and now Anora. I really like him as a director. I like the movies that I've seen of his. And I really like Mikey Madsen. I've liked her since there was a FX sitcom called Better Things that is starring Pamela. I can't remember her last name. She does the voice for Bobby Hill on King of the Hill. Really good sitcom. I would definitely say watch that. Especially if you like me, like
Didn't she play one of the Manson girls in fucking Once Upon a Time in High?
Mikey Madsen plays a lot of people where she gets set on fire.
Pamela Adlon.
Yeah.
So her, Margaret Qualley, Sydney Sweeney, that just of actress
Austin Butler.
Austin Butler. I knew. Yeah, I was just thinking about just the like that. That's just like
Yeah.
a murderer's row of like new young talent. Like good lord,
Quentin Tarantino, I think, is pretty good about having an eye for young talent. But Mikey Madsen, she's great. The movie is really good. Really good. I don't know if it's of the 3 that I've watched, if it's the best one, but it is really good. Mikey Madsen plays Annie, who is a sex worker. She works at a strip club in New York. And through that, she meets the son of a Russian oligarch. This little pampered rich kid who has never won for anything in his life. He's a couple of years younger than her, and he's kind of a little bit of a little twat. And they have interactions, and he asks her to kind of be his girlfriend for a week, and he'll pay her what to her is an abnormally large sum of money for just a week's work. And during that time, they go to Vegas and get married. And then his family finds out, and it becomes a comedy of errors. It's a really funny movie. Like I said, it starts as kind of this little Cinderella story, and then it becomes almost a screwball comedy, where just bad shit happens over all the time. But yeah, it's a really good movie. Mikey Madsen, again, I'll talk more about like Oscar stuff in the next part. She's really good in it. I'm glad that she's had a chance to have a starring role. Yeah, I think Sean Baker is really good at it. I know a lot of people there's been some criticisms because whenever something wins the Oscar, there's criticisms. Sometimes I think it's warranted. We'll talk about that later as well. And sometimes I think it's not, but I think he's really good at like showcasing these subjects that are part of these communities that you wouldn't often see stuff about. These kind of what we would consider the lower rungs of society. And I think he does a good job. Like it's very funny. It's his funniest movie. A lot of people complain that it's just like that it won because it's there's just like there's a whole bunch of sex and nudity in it. And yes, there is sex and nudity. But I do not think,
given the subject matter, it would have that.
Given the subject matter, it would have that. And I don't think, especially you might could argue that like the nudity is gratuitous. Sure, fine. I actually don't think any of the sex scenes are gratuitous. They are really they're over really quick because it's a sex scene with a 23-year-old little twat. It's done with, like there's no like
and Mikey Madison
and Mikey Madison. So like there's no like lingering on it. There's no like just really getting like there's none of that. It's just kind of it happens and it's done and that's it. So I don't think a lot of the criticisms of the movie are warranted. Again, I thought it was really, really good. So yeah, and like I said, we'll talk about its winning the Oscars and all that in the next half, along with talking about things that should and should not have won the Oscars, and maybe some other
Oscar fun facts
and other some other award shows we'll talk about too. So that's it for me. Jay, do we have any feedback?
No feedback at this time, but ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to leave feedback on this or any of our previous episodes, email us at travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L, on the omnibus @gmail.com. Jody, where else can they get in touch with us? Or you could do Spotify. Yeah, just check us out on Spotify. Take part in any of our active polls on any of our current or past episodes, and also leave comments on any of our past or present episodes as you so desire. And, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being passengers on the bus tonight, today, tomorrow, whenever. If you would like to share this experience with other people, you can do so by pointing them to Travelers on the Omnibus on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube Music through our YouTube channel, Travelers on the Omnibus, and iHeartRadio.
And with that, that's going to lead us into our main topic. Our main topic for the evening is going to be kind of a discussion. Mostly it's going to be centered on the Oscars. I've got a few things about the Emmys in here, but it's we're going to be kind of complaining about when we think the wrong person got an award or the wrong movie got an award.
The highest of highs and
or the wrong
of
TV
lows.
show got an award. We're also just going to be doing some general discussion about, like I said, mostly the Oscars because that's the big one. I do want to preface this by saying, like, these awards don't mean shit. They mean shit, but they also don't mean shit. I don't ever watch the Oscars or any of the awards, but I follow them because I really like movies and I like TV shows.
You like movies?
Yes, I happen to actually like movies.
He literally has
never would have thought.
He literally has a Criterion collection.
And I appreciate it's not that big.
It's still a collection of Criterion collection movies.
And when I appreciate a movie, I want to see it do well. And there's two ways to do well. Like you do well in the box office, but you also do well during awards season. Those are what get people money. And I like movies and actors that I like and I think do well. I like to see them celebrated. So, in the end, these don't mean anything, and they're all there are a lot of Hollywood jerking themselves off, and we'll talk about that in when we get to it. But I want to start out by talking a little bit about this Oscars that of the time of recording happened this past Sunday. It was a big night for earlier in the show, Honora won Best Picture, Mikey Madsen won Best Actress, Sean Baker won Best Director, Best
I think original
screenplay
and best movie.
Yeah, and best movie, best film editing. It also went to, which that's a harder thing to tell. But I do know a couple ones that should not have won best editing. We might get to that. So yeah, it was a big night for them. A lot of people were upset, and that Demi Moore didn't win. I, to be honest, was pulling for Demi Moore, but I'm not mad that Mikey Madsen won. That's like last year when I was pulling for Lily Gladstone, but I'm not mad that Emma Stone won. Like they both deserved it. Adrian Brody won for The Brutalist, Best Actor. Zoe Saldana won Best Supporting Actress for Amelia Perez. That was about the only thing. That and Best Song was the only thing that movie won.
Out of its 13 nominations.
Yeah, which I'm not gonna. I haven't watched the movie. I'm not going to watch the movie, so I can't talk. But I would point you towards people who have made complaints about that movie. Flow won Best Animated Feature, which I really need to watch that one. That one seems very interesting.
I think that's on Max right now.
I think it is. I need to get Max.
I still need to watch The Wild Robots.
Yeah, that one's on.
That
Peacock.
shocked me you hadn't watched it yet, because you've been talking about that for a bit.
Cinematography was The Brutalist. I need to watch that one, but it's a 3-hour biopic, and I just don't know. The Substance won Best Hair and Makeup, which was pretty cool.
Costume design went to Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, costume design and production.
And production, okay.
Who I think this was the first time a black man has ever won Best Production Design.
I watched like the behind the scenes of Wicked, and man, like the guy that was like head of production. There's a scene in the opening in the like first 5 minutes when there's children that's running towards Munchkin Land, and they're like running through all the flowers. Those are actual flowers, not like CGI flowers or anything like that.
That's good. I like it. I don't mind CGI. CGI is best used when to enhance the scene, and it seems like that's what they did with Wicked, which is pretty cool. Conclave won Best Adapted Screenplay. That's the only Oscar that one won. And Dune Part 2 won Best Visual Effects and Best Sound, which that's good because both I think that's deserved for both of those. Kieran Culkin won. I always put it in there.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain. That's on Hulu. I really need to watch that.
One of my favorite Oscar speeches of all time. It's like, "Hun, remember when you said you give me a fourth child if I won the Oscar? Well, it's time." It's like, it was great. And she was into it, and like the whole thing. Like I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I saw Macaulay Culkin's fiance was saying like he cried after
I
he
think
won.
wife Brenda Song.
I think
wife.
They are married.
They are married. Okay, I mean when I saw it earlier, they were just fiance, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. No Other Land won Best Documentary. Yeah. Oftentimes I believe the I believe that the Oscars will get it wrong, and we will talk about all those times very, very shortly. But I think that this one wasn't a bad Oscars. I know people are complaining about Honora. People have like the laziest take in the world, which is, oh, Demi Moore won, lost to a younger actress. This is the exact same plot of The Substance, and it's not. You haven't watched The Substance if you say that, and you also have no media literacy because The Substance is not a subtle fucking movie. Yeah, it's just a lazy take. She seemed like she was disappointed, of course, but she was happy for Mikey because, like, again, if Mikey won it, like, she deserved it because that's a really good performance. If Demi Moore had won it, she deserved it. That's a really good performance. Sometimes you have that. where I was pulling for Demi Moore because I thought that it was a good story and I really liked her performance.
Yeah, because sometimes the degrees between winning and losing, like for some of these races,
Yeah.
are the distance of a hair. Like they are.
Yeah.
You having watched both, I appreciate your opinion on that. I have yet to see both.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you say it's like both are deserving. Only one can win, and one ends up what's shaking out.
Yeah.
And it sucks sometimes. There are times. I think a lot of acrimony towards movies not winning just because we invest so much. Like these things bring us joy. They challenge us. You know, they make us think, make us cry, make us laugh. And when something does that for us and does it to a level that we think they're exemplary, I think like it's. I wouldn't put it as tribalism, though it kind of borders to tribalism. But you know, when we see something that has made us feel good, not be recognized as one of the as the best instead of just one of the best for the year. Yeah, I think there's a bit of an emotional.
The way I do award season is I will catch the results or I will follow it kind of in real time, but I won't watch it because I just don't have that kind of fucking time. But I will go, oh, this person won. I like them. That's good. Or this movie won, or this movie lost. That's a bummer. Oh, this movie won. That movie sucks. I don't want that's the wrong call. It's more of a mental exercise, really, or just celebrating things that I like, which is what I like to do.
I have a take I would like to make.
Okay.
So we're on the topic of like films that got nominations when people believe that they're much deserving of it, and on the other hand,
usually called a snub.
Why were they even considered?
Yeah.
Go back to Emilia Perez, 13 nominations. To me, I would say that it's more. Would you say that like the film would be like an Oscar bait movie? Like I'm trying to like process things as I'm trying to like also think of them.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it kind of feels like there's films that are specifically made for these award nominations.
Oh yeah, definitely. There are things that the Academy likes, and they also have this weird voting system where you basically rank everything. If it's Best Picture, say it's 1 through 10. And whatever's your 1 gets like 10 points, and whatever's your 10 gets 1 point. So in that case, if something is polarizing, like if a lot of people have it at 1, but a lot of people also have it at 10,
it's in that middle
brings
ground.
It down. What often will happen is something that's more in that middle ground that is inoffensive will win. But the Academy likes stories about Hollywood. That's why everybody thought La La Land was going to win Best Picture. They like stories. They like biopics. They like long, they like stories that they like anything that can give them like a good story, and things like that. So there are oftentimes Oscar bait movies. Sometimes people will call something an Oscar bait movie, and I'll be like, well, that's a good fucking movie. I don't care. But sometimes things do feel like they are manufactured and they were written specifically with the intent of getting the attention of the Oscars, because that is how these movies who aren't going to make a lot in the theaters, that is how the people who do the writing and the directing and all that, that's how they're going to get work later, because they know at the very least if he doesn't bring in money in the box office, they're going to bring prestige when it comes to award season, because they're going to get a lot of awards.
Now, go back to Emma Stone and Poor Things.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Poor Things was a good movie.
I thought it was a very good movie as well.
I also believe that like I have the feeling that it was also one of those Oscar bait movies.
I disagree. Because of Yorgos Lanthimos. Yorgos Lanthimos makes weird.
That's the thing. Yeah, they don't. The Academy doesn't like. I was pulling for The Substance to win Best Picture, but I knew it wasn't, because one, they don't like horror. Horror rarely wins unless you're like a specific type of horror, which is really like Silence of the Lambs. That's it.
And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the 1930s.
Yeah,
because that
but-
was a Frederick March one.
yeah,
for,
and that's
that.
and to be honest, like that's so far back that like
Mhm.
that's a totally different thing. Even like that Academy is not even near what this Academy is, but or even the Academy 20 years ago is. But yeah, they don't like weird stuff. And I think that shows that, and Yorgos Lanthimos makes weird shit.
What was that most recent one he did? That also
Kinds of Kindness.
Kinds of Kindness. Thank you.
That's a weird ass movie. Don't ask me what the meaning of that movie is, because I can't fucking tell you. But I do know it was weird and I enjoyed it. But I don't feel like there are things like Conclave was kind of an Oscar bait movie. It's a whole bunch of dudes who get to it's a drama, which is what they tend towards. It is a movie about a significant event, choosing a new pope, and it is a bunch of guys can get together and do capital A acting.
Ray Fiennes, John Lithgow, like that was also a very well stacked cast.
Stanley
Tucci.
Was he the vaping cardinal? I think he was the vaping
I think
cardinal.
so, yeah.
But to me, something like that screams Oscar bait.
Specifically for me, last year Maestro. With Bradley Cooper.
Last Maestro. That's a musical. That's a biopic of a famous musical guy. It was done in like black and white. Your main guy got to do capital A acting like that. Those are like Oscar bait movies, and those when it feels like they specifically did this because I want an Oscar. God damn it! Like, there were a few of them that Leonardo DiCaprio starred in before he won his Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
J. Edgar. That was Oscar bait.
Yeah.
That was him thinking, I'm going to win a fucking Oscar because of this.
And then he eventually wins it for The Revenant.
Yeah. Hot take. That is one of the few films I respect him being in. I'm not a big fan of his, but let's get it out in the public.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of his acting. The physical acting he did in The Revenant is very hard to accomplish, and he did that. I have the utmost respect for that, and I do. So I legitimately like, of all the ones that he's had the harder notion of, he's just not been nominated for some of the stuff that he's done, and I think he completely earned it for The Revenant. I have no qualms with him winning for The Revenant.
So back to the original thing that I was saying, like with all of these, to
like,
me,
let me ask you, like, because I do want to. This is gonna be like 3 hours. Fuck. Because I can talk about this shit all fucking day.
What are we? An Adrian Brody acceptance speech?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man.
Did you
zip it the fuck up?
Did you notice Cillian Murphy in the background? Like, all right. He's like, all right. Like
he has no patience for this shit.
Yeah.
What, like you said, Poor Things to you felt like an Oscar bait movie. What about that said Oscar bait to you?
More so like,
and I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything like that. We just disagree with you. I do want to see like where you're coming from, because to me that's almost as far away from an Oscar bait movie as you can get almost.
To me, it's more so like the pacing of it, like the slow semi explaining what all is happening.
Yeah.
The main character like exploring everything around, and it's more so like the timing and the pacing of things is like that. It gives the feeling that it's like, okay, this person is they're not just taking their time with the film, but it kind of feels like they're lingering with the film.
Okay.
And to me, it kind of has the feeling that other
and the Academy does like slower paced movies.
Yeah.
There have been exceptions to that, but they do like slower paced movies. I thought The Brutalist was probably going to win. But Emma Stone does kind of get to do a capital A acting. It's just a different kind of capital A acting. And for it's just like you get a role that gives you a lot to work with, and you get to like really show off your chops is what I mean by capital A acting. I say that a lot, but people might be, what the fuck does that even mean?
And to me, it is. I loved Poor Things.
Mm-hmm.
I want Poor Things to be.
You need to watch The Lobster. The Lobster is very weird.
I've seen stuff about The Lobster, and I kind of do want to watch
Yeah.
it. I want a film to be nominated for it being a good film.
Yeah.
And so with this, I have my question to you is, both of y'all, do you think these award like Oscars, Grammys, etc., do you think they would be better or worse if they just did not care about like the Oscar bait films, the maestros of cinema?
It's
Or do you
it's a weird trapdoor.
Yeah.
And because, for instance, one of my favorite performances of like the last 10 years was Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour. He played Winston Churchill during the darkest hour in Britain for World War II. That was an Oscar bait movie.
Yes.
He was exceptional.
Yeah.
Like so good. Like I usually can see Gary. When I see Gary Oldman, I see everyone.
Yeah.
I see that almost every time. Even like in all his other movies, he disappeared. And I'm looking at Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
It's an Oscar bait movie, but you can also have
if you have to do like a major transformation that also gets them see every time Christian Bale's won an Oscar. See, and for me, that's how it was with Kristen Stewart in Spencer. She disappeared into Princess Diana. Like, I could not see Kristen Stewart in that movie, and she didn't even get fucking nominated.
Yeah.
So there's two types of snubs really when it comes to the Oscars. There's nomination snubs, and then there's just like you got nominated, but you were
the award snub.
You didn't get the award.
Can I start with my first nomination snub? Denis Villeneuve, Dune 2, Part 2.
Yeah,
Denis Villeneuve.
This was an early one.
Denis Villeneuve that shouldn't have even had to be like it was nominated for best movie.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't, that was one of the biggest cinematic experiences I've ever had. Forget after COVID, forget that. It was a fantastic, like that wasn't a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
And it told a story that was well done. And the person who basically moved all of the pieces to make it the best film he possibly could. And he wasn't even nominated.
Yeah.
Like not winning, I still would have had I still would have had an issue because of how well that film moved me. But again, also,
and it was very well directed, and you can tell that when you watch the movie.
But,
sometimes a movie somebody will get nominated for best director, and the directing in the movie wasn't even that great. This goes back to I mentioned that the Academy doesn't like horror. More specifically, they don't like genre films, horror, sci-fi, fantasy. They tend to balk at. Every once in a while, one slips through. You got to have something like fucking Return of the King for it to slip
or
through.
The Shape of Water.
Yeah, or The Shape of Water. But every once in a while, but it'll slip through. But like mostly, if it's a genre type film, they're going to. And there's always, especially since they pushed it up to 10 nominations for Best Picture. There's always one or two of these like quote unquote blockbuster films, which. Dune Part 2 feels different than most blockbuster films, but it is overall like in the end like a blockbuster film. It's a big high production spectacle. But there was a lot of meat on the bone. It wasn't just spectacle saying that. But there's all like, the year Mad Max Fury Road was nominated for Best Picture and it had no shot of winning. Things like that. But yeah, like Denis Villeneuve, which I don't think is he nominated for Dune Part 1?
I don't think he was nominated for either.
He might not have ever been nominated, and he's had some phenomenal movies that like Prisoners, Enemy,
Sicario, I believe.
Sicario
was amazing.
Denis Villeneuve, he's one of my favorite directors of the past like 10, 15 years. But I want to start with like the biggest ones that most people talk about, and that's Citizen Kane losing to How Green Was My Valley. And this has to do with the fact that Charles Foster Kane in the movie is a very, very paper thin
You could call it pastiche. You
metaphor
could call it,
for
William Randolph Hearst.
William Randolph Hearst,
If we're gonna give him 3 names, let's give him 3 names. On the
who for those who aren't familiar with Hearst, ran like most of the papers in the country and was very known for like yellow journalism. This is where he pretty much like started that.
It's arguable that we got into wars in the late 19th, early 20th century due to journalism by papers done by William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah.
What gets me about that year, so High Green Was My Valley wins. Citizen Kane's also there. But also in there, you have the Maltese Falcon and Sergeant York, which, again, if you want to talk about movies that have had more history,
yeah,
those 3 are far eclipse How Green Was My Valley.
And that's something we'll see very often is nobody fucking talks about How Green Was My Valley except to talk about how Citizen Kane lost to it. A lot of times they will pick a movie that has 0 cultural impact, and it just won't ever be talked about again. When the other movie that has significant cultural impact, which I think that should probably be the best movie of the year, doesn't win. But yeah, Hearst did like a smear campaign for the movie, and basically bullied people into not voting for it, and that's why it lost, and that's why Citizen Kane, if I'm not mistaken, didn't make a whole lot of money either, and it's because of his smear campaign against it.
Has one of the greatest jump scares in the history of movies because
yeah.
it literally has no other reason to be there other than to wake the audience up, and that is per the director himself, Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Which I think is a fantastic. It's like, this movie's going too long. Let me just fucking scare him back into attention.
The Brutalist has an intermission. It has a 15-minute intermission.
I thought you were about to say a 15-minute intervention as well.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. God, what other modern movies like in the last have had?
I do
like,
kind of appreciate that because it's
did
like,
they play the "Let's All Go to the Lobby"?
that would be funny.
Ugh.
Let's see another.
Did The Irishman have an intermission other than to like hit pause and then you go?
Well, it was. Yeah, I was about to say it was never in the movie theaters.
That's fair. That's fair.
The Irishman. God, I hate that movie. Talking with another old one. 1942 when Citizen Kane loses. 1952. This one hurts me because this is like one of my favorite westerns. Greatest Show on Earth beat out High Noon, which is one of the best westerns ever. This one probably had to do.
I would argue even it's one of the quintessential westerns.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's the best western ever. But if people don't agree with that, I see where they're coming from. High Noon was a thinly veiled attack on McCarthyism, so of course that one wasn't going to win. Yeah, nobody talks about the greatest show on earth, but people will still be talking about, 50 years from now, I think people will still be mentioning High Noon. I think we're just...
So 1999, there's this movie that's up for an Oscar. It's called Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
It's one of the best war movies of all time.
Yes.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, its director, Steven Spielberg, would win his 2nd Academy Award for Best Director for this movie. The movie that wins Best Picture, however, is Shakespeare in Love.
Yes.
And a lot of
period dramas. They really like period dramas.
Yeah. And well, not only that, this is arguably, in from the research that I did, this is one of the times where the industry of Oscar campaigning really started to take shape in the world of Hollywood. Like everyone would always jostle and things like that, but we were talking about a committed campaign with a large amount of money that was put out
by one, and please, prepare yourself, by one Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
I think there were a few other hands in play, but the spirit of it and certainly the big push of it was the driving force.
Which I'll be honest, I like Shakespeare in Love. I think it is a good movie. It just wasn't the best movie of the year. You might disagree with that. It's fine.
I don't. Saving Private Ryan was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah. Saving Private Ryan deserved that Oscar.
If we want to go even further on that, that should have been, in my opinion, although I hold him in very high regard, that should have been Tom Hanks's third Oscar.
Yeah.
And instead it went to Roberto Benigni, who, as a human being, I'm cool with, but I've seen Life. I saw Life is Beautiful. Like, we rented it from the movie store afterward, and it's a foreign film, so there's a disconnect there. And it's my problem, the same problem that I had with The Fifth Element, in that sometimes it felt too silly to be taken serious, and when it wants to be serious, the silliness doesn't work. That was me, and also that's me as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old boy at the time. So there is that's in play there as well. But so there's some stuff in play there. But there's no Saving Private Ryan is arguably the best World War II movie of all time.
Yeah, I want to let's keep on Spielberg, because I've got a couple of Spielbergs that I think should have. E.T. loses to Gandhi. Again, it's a period drama.
Gandhi was very well done. I really like that movie, and I think a lot of it. I think Ben Kingsley's performance, I think, really is standout as far as, particularly in the 80s. That is arguably one of the best performances of the 80s. And there's also, like, Gandhi is a biopic spectacle, where E.T. is a kind of summer popcorn spectacle, because there's a cartoon that came out after that Oscars that year, and it shows Gandhi just holding every trophy imaginable, and E.T. is there holding every dollar imaginable. So it's like, one made a lot of money, one made a lot of art. Is one way that it's perceived.
This is one of those where I feel like Gandhi, it's an Oscar bait movie through and through, and it's another one of those that had, like, very little cultural significance. Like, once we got out of the 80s, like, nobody talked or thought about Gandhi, and, like, E.T. like is still like a thing.
I actually watched Gandhi.
Okay.
I watched it in high school AP World History.
Oh, okay.
And also, I'll also say this. Looking back, even for the time, I think Kingsley's portrayal is respectful of the man. It's not just that it's like, oh, let's just give him an Indian accent and just be Gandhi. No, there was a lot. You could tell there was a lot of respect for the man and a lot of research that went into it, and, like, the way Kingsley portrayed it. I think that was. I would say similarly, like. So 1977, there's this movie that comes out called Star Wars. It revitalizes the movie. It is the true revitalization point of movies in America, at least in my opinion.
It is hard to explain, and I'm saying this as a person who was not there, to people who weren't there, the cultural impact that Star Wars had at the time.
And Annie Hall wins. And Annie Hall is arguably one of the better, or one of the best, let me say, movies.
I think
in
it's
the
the
Woody,
best one.
in the Woody Allen catalog.
It also kind of started the whole idea of a romantic comedy.
That's fair. But to me, just like if we want to talk about cultural impact, Annie Hall had some. Star Wars had all of it.
Yeah.
We're still feeling the repercussions of that to this day.
Yeah, that's one where I'm not quite as mad, but again, sticking with and this might be another one where we don't agree with, but 1981 Raiders of the Lost Ark loses to Chariots of Fire. Literally, like, everybody only remembers the slow running,
the song,
the dun 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 dun. Like, nobody, most people, you might can, Jay, so I'm not gonna say nobody, but, like, most people don't even remember what the fuck Chariots of Fire is about. They just remember that's the Oscar movie, that's the part with. That's
a fair statement, though. I will say this: these things are picked in their time.
Yes,
and we're looking back, and, like, Raiders, I think, continue, and it's the two of the big. It's not just Lucas on that; it's Lucas and Spielberg, both of them coming together to create this thing, and I think it falls in suit with them. If I would have picked a movie from that year, it wouldn't have been Chariots of Fire. It would have been Reds. I think Reds was. I think as far as like topically, like we're still dealing with the Soviet Union is still there, still something that we're like being taught to fear and all these other things. I think that makes more of a play there. Chariots of Fire, I've seen. I think it is an exceptional movie, and again, picked in its time. I can see that, but yes, like you look past, like ultimately it's history.
Yeah.
I will say this. Maybe it's this is a contour of the thesis you came up with. I look at a film winning or losing the Oscar. I think the status is important because I believe that turns or changes the eyes that look at it and changes the angle that you look at some of these movies. If Star Wars had won the Academy Award, again, I can't prove a negative. I wonder what that does for that movie's legacy in that not only was it a movie-going audience darling, but also like the people behind the Academy, the people who are working supposedly at the top or near the top levels of the field, also thought this was an amazing film to go with it as well. I think it changes our idea of it. I don't know to what extent, though. I don't know how severely, but I look at the winning or losing or not even nominated part of Oscars. It changes the way we feel.
I think you could. Well, no,
I think it absolutely does. I think I think
certain ones, but like ones that are because we do have an example of this of a movie that was popular with audiences. You don't like this movie, and that's okay. But it was popular with audiences. It is well beloved by people who watched the movie and also won awards. And
Titanic.
Titanic and Return of the King. Those are two that
I like Return of the King. It's Two Towers and
Fellowship. I forgot.
hate
I'm
the
sorry.
first two because
I
like Return of the King because it finishes the story. Instead of like, in my opinion, draws these stories out way too fucking long.
I see that. Yeah, we've discussed this before.
Yeah.
But
for me, Titanic more because I didn't like Titanic. It's one of those things where it's kind of like The Fifth Element. I don't like the movie, but I respect the artistry, the artist, and the craft, and the fact that that's another bridge movie because you have practical sets that were also paired with CGI in a way that the CGI was done well. You have to be looking for it to kind of notice it. I respect Titanic. I just don't like Titanic.
But I think looking at those two movies, like after they won because they were already like so popular with audiences, I don't think it changed very much. Now a movie that wasn't watched wasn't very well known by audiences and then wins an Oscar, that definitely changes our perception and makes and puts more eyes on it. In fact, that's one of the reasons why these studios love winning awards, because people go, "Oh shit, this movie won. Let me watch that." Unless it's something like Coda, because nobody fucking watched that movie.
Part of it for me, I can't prove the negative on that. I don't live in a world where Titanic didn't win the Oscar.
We're a lot of this is just arguing semantics.
But I can conceive of a world where Titanic doesn't win the Oscar, and people look at it and go, "No, that should have absolutely won the Oscar." Because,
definitely.
Because I've got it in front of me right now. Like, I think you could make the argument Good Will Hunting could have been an Oscar winner in any other year except for that movie.
Yeah.
As Good as It Gets, which I believe that was Nicholson's third Oscar win. I think that had stuff that was in play there, but yeah, like if one of those wins without and Titanic doesn't, I think it takes on more of a Star Wars in the fact that this is the pinnacle of the technical arts paired with acting that, like, I would say, as much as I don't like the movie, Kate Winslet knocks it out of the fucking park. She's absolutely
definitely
does.
The best part of the movie.
And not to be a pun, but she is the anchor for that movie. She's the thing that holds that thing in place. And so that you can they can be noticeable. I just don't like a lot of the stuff that surrounds that movie.
Yeah. I feel like
And-
Titanic's overrated too, or you might not feel like it's overrated. I don't know. I feel like it's overrated, but yeah.
I don't like it. I feel it is rated. I think it's rated at a level that I can accept where it's rated.
I think
at.
it's
just,
slightly
I don't-
overrated. I don't think it's like super overrated, but that's
Yeah.
another discussion that we can have. Let's get back to one that I think there's a couple on here that I think we're definitely gonna agree with.
2003, Chicago beats Gangs of New York. No,
Oh yeah,
no, absolutely not. No.
yeah. So yeah, let's talk about Scorsese for a second, because
Yeah.
Scorsese doesn't win Best Director or any of his movies. I don't believe win Best Picture until The Departed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, so there's this idea of makeup, especially when it comes to like acting and like the single person awards. There's makeup awards, and people called The Departed a makeup award. I don't believe that. I feel like he deserved it for The Departed.
Well,
I there's probably a couple of things that I wouldn't have been mad at if those won.
well, here is the year The Departed wins, and here's the year: Babel, Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Queen.
Mm-hmm.
The Queen, Oscar bait.
Yes,
A very good Oscar bait. Again, it's
Oscar bait doesn't mean bad movie.
Yeah,
it just means it was.
just means it's designed to get awards.
Yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine was more quirky. Like it was more quirky than it was good,
That's
in my opinion.
That's the surprise nomination, because
Yeah.
that's not a type of movie that they would like.
Letters from Iwo Jima, I think, is a fantastic movie.
Mm-hmm.
Of the ones and then Babel was okay. That was the
I barely remember that.
wasn't
one.
that
that one?
I was about to say Johnny. It's not Johnny Depp. It's
that
Hang
one
on.
also felt a little
Brad Pitt. I think Brad Pitt's in Babel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that one, and like The Constant Gardener.
Of those 5 films in that year. Again, we look at year and look
Yeah.
at time. The Departed is the best movie out
Yes.
of those.
Mhm.
It is 100% the best movie
Yeah.
out of those.
Yeah, it's and I think he deserved Best Director. It was very well directed, and you can see a lot of that in there. Yeah.
I want to talk about the year beforehand. Well, let's finish on Scorsese actually.
But yeah, Goodfellas loses
Goodfellas
to
loses.
Dances with Wolves.
Mhm.
I didn't write them down, but like none of his other Raging Bull doesn't win, which is batshit to me, because
Yeah.
I think that's his best
Well,
film.
and that's De Niro's Oscar win.
Yeah.
like that for best actor.
But he won because that was a transformation, because
Yeah.
he gained a lot of weight. He got really muscular, and then they took time off, and he gained a lot of weight to play the older version of the character.
Yeah.
They love that shit. But yeah, that one didn't win. He didn't win for Best Director for that one, which is batshit. Casino, he doesn't win. Like none of his movies, he doesn't win until The Departed, which is crazy. And then he just won last year for did he win last year for
Hang on.
Killers of the Flower Moon? I think he did.
I don't.
It
I
di-
don't.
It didn't win Best Picture, but I think he won. I could be mistaken. Never mind. I forgot that
Yeah.
last year was Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So Nolan won.
Which is one of my solid yes.
he
This thing
he
deserved
never
it.
won until that one. That was his first directing win, which is crazy. Some other famous directors that have never won an Oscar, and some will never win an Oscar because they're dead as shit.
That's
Al-
one
Alfred
way to say it.
Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Stanley Kubrick, Spike Lee.
Well, Spike Lee's not dead. I want to stress
Spike Lee
that.
can still keep going, but he's never, like, some of the ones, like when Da 5 Bloods came out, I was like, oh, this is getting nominated. Like everybody, Delroy Lindo's getting nominated for at least supporting actor. Sometimes it's hard to tell like supporting actor and actor.
He did a Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
with Denzel.
Which we'll get to in a second.
Oh, he did the 2013 Old Boy.
Yeah, he didn't deserve that one. That's probably why he hasn't won, is just penance for that. But I was like, he's at least getting nominated. He didn't get that movie didn't get nominated for anything, and that is a phenomenal movie.
He also did a
the
Black Klansman.
Yeah.
Black Klansman. I think
Do the Right
I think he
Thing.
got Do the Right Thing is the big one where people are like, that should have been nominated and won, and he should have won. Most people argue that he should have won Best Director that year. or some people do. I don't know. I didn't look into that one, but
Wasn't that the same year as Driving Miss Daisy?
I believe that was Driving Miss Daisy. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that the Oscars love, especially recently. The Academy has gotten more diverse, and however you feel about that, whatever. I don't give a shit. I think it's a good thing, but it's mostly white dudes, and what white dudes love is they like, especially like the Hollywood types, they like something that makes them feel safe. And so there's this whole class of movies that are like that they're like dealing with racism, but in a very like kind of surface level way that win Oscars because it makes them feel like, oh, we're making a statement, but we're actually not doing too much. Like if it goes too far dealing with that, this is how you get things like, what's her name for the Blind Side winning. This is how you get Green Book. This is how you get Crash.
Sandra Bullock.
Well,
Sandra Bullock.
Let me. I want to because the year before, let me pull it back up again. The year before The Departed wins, Crash won.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave the most deserving one. However, the other movies that year were Munich,
Mm-hmm.
Good Night and Good Luck, which
Mm-hmm.
David he plays Edward R. Murrow in that movie. He's in Alpha. He was in Alphas. He was David Strathern. Strathern, fantastic actor. Capote, which is Philip Seymour Hoffman's Oscar. All three of those movies are better than Crash.
Mm-hmm.
Crash was another one that I went to say this. Okay, let's see what. And it's what the fuck. And then of course the one that nobody wants to talk about because the director won for Brokeback Mountain, but Brokeback Mountain did not win.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And
that was Ang Lee, I believe.
Yeah, and that was Ang Lee, and most people, a lot of people also think that this is where Heath Ledger should have gotten his Oscar as well.
Yeah.
He did not win here. Crash. If you look, type in worst Best Picture winners, and in practically every single one of those lists, the number one is going to be Crash.
I have Crash in number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, like the number 3 worst. Like there's two. Like there's one from like 1929 that always shows up, and there's one from 1931, and then there's 1952's The Greatest Show on Earth, which was literally
which lost to
which Greatest Show on Earth wins the Oscar because it was one of Cecil B. DeMille's last movies, and I think that was his only Oscar win.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I think so too.
But real quick, I just want a little pushback on Heath Ledger plays Ennis in Brokeback Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Capote that same year. Like
that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
If you want to say, like, for me, I lean towards Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
It's creepy because both of these gentlemen are now dead.
Yeah.
But just, like, I'm sorry, that's just something that just flashed in my brain.
And they're also
right
like generational talents.
Yes.
Like when Hoffman was alive, he was the best actor of his generation. Period.
If you've ever seen, I think it's Lost in Synecdoche. I think that's a
Synecdoche, New York.
So it's just Synecdoche, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird ass movie. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So let's see. The only like, so if you look up snubs, usually like nobody gives a shit about best documentary. But there is one glaring omission. Hoop Dreams never was nominated for best documentary, and Hoop Dreams is one of the most well-known documentaries of all time.
And quality-wise, is one of the best documentaries of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think it's on my list. Like the only thing that hold on, no. There's I think it's Imposter. Imposter is a very good one.
Mm-hmm. And
then my all-time favorite documentary is Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father.
Yeah,
which did get nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Which thank God Dear Zachary got nominated, because that, like, I'm okay with that. Is something else when it got recognition that I think at the very least is up to a level I think is totally okay.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Dear Zachary, you can watch it for free on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was on your list for movies that I should watch.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That's one you have to mentally prepare yourself for, though, because it's. Oof.
I typically with documentaries, I typically don't talk about the subject matter because I want someone to go in there fresh. I will give you, for me, that is my strongest recommendation for almost any film that that film needs to be watched. That documentary needs to be watched.
Really, like, there's a couple of others for like Best Picture that we could talk about, but I think the only one that I really want to talk about is The Social Network losing to The King's Speech in 2020.
That's my number one. That's my number one all time. I cannot fucking understand this.
Yeah,
The King's Speech is a fine film. It is a good film. I love Colin Firth. I love Jeffrey Rush.
yeah.
I like what they talk about there. I like showing the vulnerability of someone that is always portrayed to be invulnerable, like the King of England.
Yeah.
In a time and a place that they need strength, that they need that the people who are the heads of state need to be strong. I appreciate that, and it is a good movie. But Jesus Christ, everything about The Social Network is pitch fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Arguably the best director in the world at the top of his game, with a story written by Aaron Sorkin. And real quick, David Fincher. If I'm going to praise the man, let me name the man.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Sorkin in one of the best scripts he's ever written, and consider the body of work of Aaron Sorkin. Passengers, if you're listening to this right now, pause it, go look up Aaron Sorkin, things that he's been a writer or director on, and then come back to me. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross with one of the best scores of all fucking time. I haven't even gotten to the actors yet.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Jesse Eisenberg at what I think was his best performance, like who is still producing good performances to this day. We're going to skip what happened with the DC old DCU. We just started that. I think that was just let's just have fun with this thing.
Well, he was in A Real Pain and he directed the movie as well.
Directed the movie, like, fantastic. This was the movie that introduced me to Andrew Garfield. Jesus Christ, what a fucking talent there. And then just everybody in that movie just is playing at the top of their game. Armie Hammer is playing twins, the Winklevoss twins, and does a fantastic job of making them just different enough that's like, okay, they're twins. And there's just one dude.
Yeah, people were surprised to find out that was one person.
Yeah. Everything about that movie is perfect. Yeah. And
King's Speech is one of those quintessential Oscar bait movies.
Yeah.
Like it's a period drama. It's about, you get to see like somebody who's the king, but they say fuck. Like it's like that was another like thing.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely up there.
But yeah, that's for me, that's top of the list of like they got it so fucking wrong. And that I could stop right now and just watch The Social Network right now because of how much I love that movie. It was so good. A buddy of mine was like, "You need to watch this." I don't give a fuck about Facebook. Facebook's in the periphery.
Yeah,
like it's the thing that it's what covers the Ferrero Rocher chocolate. The actual thing that you want to like just get into and just devour is the fucking performances and the direction and the cinematography, the sound. Okay. I will stay. I will stay on this one for 4 fucking hours. Just
this is your hill you will die on.
Yeah.
Moving on to so not only do pictures we talked a lot about best pictures, but let's talk. We've gone back and forth, but let's talk a little bit about like the single person awards. Some people who have never won an award who's like, what the fuck? Glenn Close never won an award. Annette Bening has never won an award. Amy Adams has never won an award. Peter O'Toole.
8 nominations, no wins.
Yeah. I think he is tied with Glenn Close. I think she's had 8 nominations and no wins. Cary Grant never won an award. Cary fucking Grant.
The quintessential movie star. Cary Grant.
Judy Garland never won an award. Insult to injury, Renee Zellweger wins Best Actress by portraying
her.
Judy Garland in the movie Judy.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the big ones I think that was kind of they got it wrong was not too long ago, 2023. And if you go back and listen to those episodes, you'll hear me talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once winning Best Picture. That was great. I loved that one won. Michelle Yeoh winning for Best Actress. That was great. The contention comes with supporting actress. Jamie Lee Curtis wins for that.
Willem Dafoe has never won an Oscar.
Willem Dafoe, yeah, he's never won an Oscar. He's weird enough that like his acting is weird enough that like he's probably never going to win one. This I feel is where they got it wrong, because like there were two people nominated from that movie, from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and of those two people, Jamie Lee Curtis was not the best person.
You're talking about Stephanie Hsu.
Stephanie Hsu.
Yeah.
Stephanie Hsu plays Michelle Yeoh's daughter in that, and that is only rivaled by Yeoh in best performance in that movie. Like she definitely of the two people from that movie deserved it.
I have a sentimental one that actually goes above the two of them. Carrie Condon from The Banshees of Inisherin.
That one was also, she was very, very good in that movie.
That's
as
another
well.
one where everybody was at or near the top of the game between that and Colin Farrell and
God damn it.
He's one of the best Irish actors that has ever lived. God damn it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Domhnall Gleeson is Brendan Gleeson. I have to remember Domhnall Gleeson and then Brendan Gleeson. That's how I remember him. But yeah, he's phenomenal. That was definitely like either of those two winning. I wouldn't have been mad at that. Jamie Lee Curtis. Most people feel like this is a makeup Oscar, and sometimes they will do this where, hey, you've got a great body. It's more about the body of work than it is about this individual performance. It's like, we skipped over you all these times. Let's give it to you now. And oftentimes what will happen is that will lead somebody to not getting the Oscar that they deserve. This is going to be, so I hesitate to bring this up because I know me and Jay are going to argue over this.
Before you do that,
let me put my foot in my mouth. I will not argue. This is it. You have a free and open plane. Go for it.
But I know you don't do it because we've we've discussed this before.
We've discussed this, and I'm going to disagree with it, and that will be my statement.
Not even argue, but like it's gonna be like another 20-minute discussion that we probably don't.
I will pursue it no further. I promise you. Go for it.
And this might be, I think to a lot of people, this is a hot take. So Denzel Washington won his Oscar for Training Day, and he is very good in that movie. But I don't think that is the one that he should have won Best Actor for. I think he should have won for Malcolm X. He was phenomenal in that movie. But the problem with that is they gave it to Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman, which was his makeup Oscar because of all the times that he was nominated for Best Actor and he never won. So now they were like, we got to give it to you, man, and the problem with that one is that then like Pacino changed almost after that one, changed his acting style to just be this big over the top yelling all the time thing, almost a parody. Like if you look at it before and after Scent of a Woman, like it's very, very different. Every once in a while he gets out of that. Like I don't like The Irishman, but I think he's like, that's one of his best performances in probably 20 years. Maybe I would have to actually look at it, but like that's like him as Jimmy Hoffa was very, very good. But like,
I have made my promise, but I will leave it like this. Passengers, if you would like my counterpoint on a future episode, travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com.
Yeah, that was a makeup Oscar. I think that was a series of makeup Oscars. Again, I'm not saying Denzel Washington was bad in Training Day. Denzel Washington was the best part of Training Day.
Since we're doing an airing of the grievances, so Daniel Day-Lewis's first Oscar was for My Left Foot.
Mm-hmm.
It beat out what is, in my opinion, the greatest performance by an actor who eventually would win for Best Supporting.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams, that's another one where it's like pitch perfect teacher who wishes to teach the love of learning and the love of literature. And he doesn't say, it's one of the reasons, it's one of the reasons why when I went to college, I went for English and language arts, because I loved it. I loved what I learned from that, and I loved the learning of that. And so, yeah, like I respect Daniel Day-Lewis
Daniel Day-Lewis is a phenomenal actor.
He's a phenomenal actor. I've seen the movie. Robin Williams should have won for that. Although I will say this, that year, Daniel Day-Lewis wins. You have Kenneth Branagh and Henry V.
Okay, yeah.
Tom Cruise in Born on the 4th of July, arguably the best thing he's ever done.
Yes.
Arguably. And Morgan Freeman.
That's one of the few films where he wasn't just kind of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That and Magnolia, I think, are like the
I think
two
he
big
also
ones.
had the full Tom Cruise hadn't formed
Yes.
yet.
Yeah.
I think Days of Thunder is when that happens, but that's just me.
Yes.
And then finally Morgan Freeman for Driving Miss Daisy. That's a powerful year in films as far as actors acting. So yeah.
Speaking of Magnolia, Paul Thomas Anderson's never won Best Director, which is crazy. But
is he the quirky Anderson, or is that somebody
No, that's
else?
Wes Anderson.
Okay, thank
Paul
you.
Thomas Anderson is the master.
Is Magnolia the master? Okay.
The most recent one, Licorice Pizza. He's got one I think coming out next year.
Oh, he did Licorice Pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. He's a really I love There Will Be Blood. Yeah. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, just for the fact that on set, when in between takes, he would still only move, like he forced everybody to push him around in a wheelchair. Just because of that, he shouldn't have won. Like, I remember, I'm so glad that like now I don't like kind of almost worship that whole method acting thing, because I think it can go too far. Sometimes it helps, I think, and I think it gets you good performances oftentimes, but I think you can also, just act, just pretend, and then you're not an asshole to all the people around you. Like I think it's okay when like Gangs of New York, he just wouldn't wear proper clothes, so he almost died because of the cold. That's fine. If you just want to fuck shit up for yourself, that's okay. But when you're doing shit like, forcing everybody to push you around, or like fucking Jared Leto in Morbius, when he had to go to the bathroom, he would still be like hobbling on crutches, so he'd make things take like 10 times longer than it was supposed to take. Like, calm down. You're making things worse for every fucking body.
There is a 20-second clip rather on YouTube, but it's Daniel Day-Lewis breaking character. And so it's the last it's 20 seconds. The first 15 seconds is the ending of a scene. And then the 5 seconds is just him smiling at the young actor. It's like, hey, good job. And it's like, that's how fucking rare it is for him to fucking break character.
Yeah.
That a 20-second clip like that would fucking, oh my God.
The joke of Robert Downey Jr.'s character in Tropic Thunder, that he's Daniel Day-Lewis. That's all he is.
Yes.
When he says, I don't break character until the DVD commentary, that's how Daniel Day-Lewis is. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis is a phenomenal actor, and he does just some of the best performances ever.
He won Best Actor for Lincoln.
Yes.
Correct?
Lincoln, I believe he also won for
Lincoln,
There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood, and My Left Foot. Those are his 3 Oscar wins.
Didn't win for 9, huh? 9 was a bad movie. That was so fucking bad. I think that was the thing that he did after There Will Be Blood.
He had to take the edge off of There Will Be Blood, man.
I
had to.
I didn't too much like The Phantom Thread. That's one of the few Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis movies that I've watched that I just did not like. But yeah,
that was okay. So the Lincoln win, that was another fucking holy shit year, because you had Bradley Cooper, Silver Linings Playbook. That, I think that and A Star Will Be Born, or A Star Is Born, is like 2 of his best performances. Hugh Jackman for being Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. Joaquin Phoenix in The Master, and Denzel Washington in Flight. That's another powerful fucking year of just actors acting. Holy hell.
Yeah, Flight wasn't great, but like it was carried. Like Denzel Washington carried that.
Carried that movie.
That was on his shoulders.
He broke his spine 3 times carrying that movie.
Joaquin Phoenix in The Master, I think that's his best performance. Like, that was such a good fucking performance. But yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one. And sometimes it is tough like that. And sometimes it's kind of easy and they still fuck it up because, again, they have these archaic rules. The makeup is such that oftentimes you wouldn't get necessarily what is the best movie. You would get what this small select group of people who are mostly white men think is the best movie. But yeah,
I want to talk about the Oscars that happened where Anthony Hopkins has won 2 awards. The first one was for The Silence of the Lambs, where in I think less than half an hour of screen time, he proved that he is one of the best actors ever. Period.
Mhm.
That the character of Hannibal Lecter portrayed by him is some of the best and one of the most terrifying, nuanced, subtle performances that has ever existed. His second Oscar, he did very well. This is another one where I had to go out and look at him. He won for The Father.
Yes.
He is and winning that made him the oldest man to ever win the Best Actor award. But in so doing, he defeated Chadwick Boseman from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah, which
and let me
Boseman
also
is phenomenal in that movie.
There have been times when the Oscars got it wrong, but the Oscars got this so wrong. Not in the like I will say there is an argument to be made. It would have been great to give Chadwick Boseman, who, if he were still alive today, when we were talking about young Hollywood and like young actors, even though he was an old, he's a bridge because he could be that older statesman, and he could also be that young, part of the younger crowd as well, just because of how he held himself and just the amazing performances he put in.
I very much loved him in 42. I loved him.
He like
42.
The fact that he was.
I loved him as Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall.
Jesus Christ, that movie's so good.
Yeah, Thurgood Marshall and Jackie Robinson, like 2 of the biggest names in their fields ever.
Yeah.
Like,
and not just being black pioneers, though that's also a part of it as well, but also like 2 of the greatest of all time. Like, and he could seamlessly flow through that, and then he could also be the fictional prince of an Afrofuturist society in a Marvel, and also command the respect. Look at all of those fucking actors in the last Avengers movie, and he stands out. He just does because of his poise and his poise, his dignity, his command of the scene. That all being said, the fact a few years earlier, Moonlight wins the Academy Award for Best Picture, but they send up the wrong envelope, so people thought it was La La Land that won it. And that, up to that point, is the worst scheduling or staging the Oscars had ever done.
Yeah.
This was by far worse because they arranged this. This was the COVID Oscars where you couldn't have a whole bunch of people in an auditorium. This was the COVID Oscars where they do everything. They do Best Picture. I'm like, oh, I missed Best Actor.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, and then the Best Actor is the last one, and Joaquin Phoenix is about to and it's like, so okay, this is great. Chadwick Boseman as the last award, in a respect of a career cut short by cancer. This is going to be great. Anthony Hopkins wins.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins wasn't there. He accepted it over Skype.
Yeah, over Skype, and the next day, it's like I want to, and what a horrible! You've just won the pinnacle again of your profession, and you have to almost apologize for it because, if I still think there would have been oh really, what the fuck, but they made this the focus. This is the point of that. This is the final Oscar we're handing out.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that this was going to no, crack open the envelopes and figure out your shit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that was, oh my God.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment where things blew up in their face. I haven't watched The Father because I hear it's incredibly depressing, and I just don't want to feel like
100%.
Olivia Colman.
Dear Zachary.
Uh-huh.
These are not real people.
Yeah.
Worse than Dear Zachary.
Yeah.
I liken it similarly to The Whale, where it's like, oh, I have to watch this human being like fall apart and
Yeah.
just like it's awkward and
Mhm.
bad. So yeah, no, like it's kind of in a similar situation there. Can we talk about things that made us happy and the fact that they won? And like
Yeah, sure. I didn't write any of those down, but if you've got any,
I
go for it.
wanted just to counterpoint this because
Mhm.
there is that when moments in time where you know it's the best thing and everyone around you admits that this is the best thing. At least again, this is we look at it they're given for the year, but they resonate throughout time. Schindler's List,
Mhm.
the best director possibly ever
Mhm.
in a what sometimes could deridedly be called a passion project. I'm not going to call it like that. I think it is. I think it was a project born out of love and born out of telling the story of history from facets from just one facet of it. Schindler's List is almost a perfect movie.
Mhm.
Directing, acting, everything. The writing. It's a black and white movie that has to be in black and white because the story it's telling is of good and evil.
Mhm.
I think it is it's a fantastic movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever to win the best movie award at the Oscars. And I want to point out there, No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
It is the Coen brothers' best film. It is exceedingly powerful. It is fantastically acted. I do wish Josh Brolin had won for that, but Javier Bardem winning for that with one of the greatest villains that has ever been put to screen. Absolutely,
Everybody
fantastic.
was like every. That's another one of those where like every
Tommy Lee Jones,
Tommy
Woody
Lee Jones.
Harrelson.
Tommy Lee Jones. I like people complain about how it ends, but that fucking speech that he gives about the two dreams at the end, like every once in a while, I will still sit and it will pop into my head, and I will turn it over in my head. Yeah, like every single person in that movie is giving fuck the woman. God damn, she was in Boardwalk Empire. She was in Train Spotting. Carrie, I apologize, Kelly MacDonald. I really apologize because I love her as an actress. It's just sometimes names fly out of my head. She like that. Her last scene when she's talking about how the coin don't have no say. Like, yeah. Yeah.
And then for me, the most recent one for me that stood out last year, which I would argue in my adult lifetime, last year was one of the best years for movies ever. Oppenheimer wins, and I think that's absolutely perfect. Barbie was good, and the fact that Barbie was at least recognized as a nominee, I think was good. But you have Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall. There were so many good movies.
Yeah, the only one of those that I haven't watched is Maestro, and I just don't feel like it. The more a movie feels like I don't mind when sometimes, like I said, people will call things Oscar bait, and I'll be like, well, I still think that's a really good movie. Like I still like it, but the more it feels like it was made in a lab to win win an Oscar, the more I push back against it. Sometimes, and I guess that's to taste, but like that's the only one. And every single one of those that I watched is phenomenal. If you get a chance to watch like Anatomy of a Fall, like Jesus Christ.
If I were to rephrase it like this, you want the movies to try, but don't try that hard. Like don't try. Like it's like we're going for is Oscars.
Yeah, when it feels like if you make a movie that you wrote, that was written and directed, and you wanted to make it because you have to get this story out, you want to make this piece of art, and then it happens to fall in line with all the things that we see that are typically seen as like Oscar bait. I'm fine with that. But when it feels like I wrote, directed, and starred in, talking to you, Bradley Cooper, I know you're listening.
Thank you for listening, Bradley Cooper.
To specifically win an Oscar, when it feels like that was cynically the only reason that this movie was made. That's why that's another one of those reasons why I don't really agree with Poor Things as being an Oscar bait movie, because it is very obvious that Yorgos Lanthimos did not make this movie to just win an Oscar. That might have been one of the things that attracted, say, Emma Stone to it, because it's a challenging role.
My final thing that I'd like to get out there, as far as best actors, and I know this has been very recent, however, Cillian Murphy as Robert Oppenheimer. Good God.
Yeah.
What a performance. What an absolute performance. Like he doesn't carry the movie on his back. There's so many good
Yes.
actors in that
Mhm.
movie, but in that ensemble, to stand out
Yes.
as, forgive me, as bright as an atomic bomb. I will use that analogy right now, and I apologize. Brady, you can punch me later. But to stand out that
Mhm.
much as powerfully as he did, I can't speak enough of him.
Yeah, the scene where he's giving the speech after they drop the bomb and he's like imagining everybody's flesh melting, like that is.
Yeah,
And when he's being questioned and the lights like shining on him, Jesus Christ. And when he's like sitting naked in that chair, yeah, whew, man.
yeah, yeah, just to being like exposed so much. And then for me, a personal one, it is, for some might think it's like what you said, it's the makeup Oscar. I mentioned Dead Poet Society, but the resonance of Good Will Hunting
Mm-hmm.
is done so well because Robin Williams was there.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't
it's-
believe that's a makeup
it-
Oscar. It might have been seen as that, but like, no, he deserves.
No, because I remember William Forsythe for Jackie Brown was nominated. Burt Reynolds was nominated that year for Boogie Nights. Greg Kinnear and Anthony Hopkins, I think, were the other people that were in that, and that's a powerful fucking field too. If you want to talk about there, and you have two people there that could have gotten the makeup Oscar. Or at the very least, you've been around for so long, Oscar. That's another Oscar that's kind of out there, particularly in the supporting actor variant. But Robin Williams elevates Good Will Hunting from a good movie to a great movie. And I just, every time I think about that performance, like when he's talking about his wife and like the notions of love and what it means to be in love with someone. God damn,
that was definitely that's one of my favorite Robin Williams performances.
But thank you for indulging me on that, because like it's a lot of it. The busts get more play, and I think are easier to argue.
Yeah,
as
because
far
we
as that
like
goes.
complaining and we like saying that like the Oscars always get it wrong and the Oscars are out of touch and everything like that.
But when
sometimes they are, but sometimes they do. When they get it right, they really do get it right. I think.
When a once in a generational role or once in a generational movie gets the recognition it absolutely deserves, I think we should more than just celebrate that, because yes, there have been too many times where it's gotten wrong.
Yeah.
When they get it right, God bless you. Thank you for getting it right.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
I know I said I had one thing. I lied. I have two.
Okay.
You're always doing this. First there was that PlayStation portable shit. Now it's this. I'm gonna remember that.
Okay.
And I'm gonna forget about it after I remember.
Speaking of, you mentioned Jackie Brown. Samuel L. Jackson has only ever been nominated for Django Unchained, and he's never won.
He didn't get nominated for Pulp Fiction.
No.
thought he got
Pulp Fiction
nominated.
got snubbed hard.
Because I know
He might
Uma
have-
Thurman got
No,
nominated as supporting.
It has to be.
He had, because Travolta would
I
have been.
I know he got nominated for Django Unchained as supporting actor, and from what I saw, that was the only thing that he ever got nominated for. Pulp Fiction got snubbed hard at the Oscars.
This could be sentimentality.
I know. I didn't. That's why I didn't bring this up.
Well, no, but I will say this: 1994 is arguably one of the greatest
Yes.
years in film, because Forrest Gump,
Shawshank.
Pulp
Fiction, and one that didn't get nominated for the Academy Award, and it's one of the reasons why the best animated feature finally got added to the Lion King. Like, Jesus Christ, those are, we talk about a generational movie. To me, those are 4 generational
94
movies.
is often 94 and like 99 when it comes to like the 90s. That's talked about as like one of the best, 2 of the best years of movies ever. Yeah, Quentin Tarantino often does get snubbed. I think Jamie Foxx.
Okay. So he was nominated. Samuel L. Jackson was nominated for Jules in Pulp Fiction for 1994.
Okay.
He lost to Martin Landau. Now that's
Okay.
one of those, you've been around a while. Now I
Yeah.
will say Martin Landau did a very good job. Oh fuck! That means Ed Wood came out in the same year with that too. That's arguably the best
Tim Burton.
Tim
movie.
Burton movie. Yeah,
Mhm.
like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson should have won. Although I will say this too. You could have had maybe a split of votes, because also there's Gary Sinise for Forrest Gump, which
sometimes 2 things will split votes. Oftentimes, just the way things work,
Yeah.
and again, it's one of those things where they meet in the middle, and the thing that wasn't super polarizing but got say like a 5 or a 6 across the board
Yeah.
ends up winning
Yeah.
all the points
But
because they do a really dumb way of
Lieutenant Dan
voting.
is like one of the best arcs in
Yeah.
I think in a movie
Mhm.
start to finish, because from where he comes from to where he goes,
Mhm.
man, like people it's my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
So, but Forrest Gump I think was deserving of all the accolades. The problem that exists in that world is so many movies were deserving of accolades
Yeah.
that year, and so many actors and actresses were deserving.
I will say about I don't feel like it should have won. I feel like either Shawshank or Pulp Fiction would have won. I like Forrest Gump, but I think there are some things about it that I don't like, that I don't particularly want to get into because it's your favorite movie and I don't like yucking people's yum. But I think that at the very least it still has, like, at the very, very least, even though I don't think it deserved it, still has that like cultural significance. Like people still talk about Forrest Gump, even though I don't agree that it should have won.
People still think Gary Sinise had his legs actually blowed off.
Yeah.
He was actually like no.
Yeah.
That's all visual effects.
Mhm.
Yeah. Again, I think for me it's really hard to say between Shawshank and Pulp Fiction which one should have won, but I think that one of those two should have. But again, like at the very least, Forrest Gump does have that like cultural significance, that it has staying power. It's not oftentimes something that wins Best Picture will just get forgotten.
Oh, this is a movie that I didn't even realize this Quiz Show, which a lot of people forget about.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a fucking amazing movie too. That was in that same year.
Oh, okay.
Good
For some
Lord.
reason, I thought that was older. I'm sorry. We've again stepped on.
No, it's all
Ethan.
good. No, it's all good. I enjoy this conversation. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, we made the mistake of talking about movies, and I
Yeah.
could talk about movies forever. So I'm sorry. Let's go.
Speaking about movies.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, you like movies?
yeah.
Okay.
Weirdly enough.
Oh.
Could have fooled me. No, sorry.
Just two things real fast.
Mhm.
A giant lizard won best visual effects last year. Godzilla
Mhm.
-1.
Yeah.
They turned a giant monster movie into a dramatic masterpiece,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that one made me really happy. One, because of how low the budget of that movie was,
Mhm.
and I know that there's some things about the way Japanese do their budget, filmmakers do their budgets that and I didn't look into it, but I've just heard that like there's some funny stuff. But even like doubling, tripling that budget, like it's, if that's the real number, like still that's a crazy amount that they still did so much with, because that's one of the best looking Godzillas in a very long time. And this is including Shin Godzilla,
Mhm.
which has some wonky CGI, but I think it works because that Godzilla is so weird. And that Godzilla is supposed to be unsettling, and I think the CGI kind of helps that. But you can still tell, like, but it still kind of takes you out, especially the younger version of like the
second stage Godzilla.
yeah, like the second stage Godzilla is
with all
is-
the gills.
you definitely feel like, oh, this is a CGI thing running
Yeah.
through.
The Godzilla -1 Godzilla. It to me it looks like the perfect Godzilla.
Yeah.
almost.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the final thing is 2023 actor in a supporting role Ki Hui
Kei Kwan.
Kei Kwan, yeah.
yeah.
It is a feel good moment.
Mhm.
Like him being around, him getting it. It feels good that he got
Yes,
it.
it made me so happy. One, that he won, and two, that really shot him into being an like a full-time
Like-
actor again.
Like a lead actor.
Yeah, he's actually been around a while, doing like stunt coordination. I can't remember. There's a really well-known like stunt heavy movie, like action heavy martial arts type movie that he did. That he was like the lead stunt man on, like stunt coordinator on.
And then him reuniting with Harrison Ford at the Oscars.
Yeah.
That is also
Mhm.
like very heartwarming.
Yeah, that was really good.
And then he was in The Goonies. I love The Goonies.
Yeah, The Goonies is great. Yeah, he recently had a movie come out, like February. I heard, unfortunately, that it wasn't too great, so I didn't go see it in theaters. But I do
Hard Love or something like that.
yeah, like something like that. He was also in Loki, which is good, which is cool.
Mhm.
The second season of Loki.
I have to make a quick correction. It was not William Forster. It was Robert Forster for Jackie Brown. My apologies on getting Mr. Forster's name wrong.
Forster, man.
Love Hurts is the movie.
Love Hurts. That's what it was.
Oh, real quick. I'll end with 2 nomination snubs. No nomination for Jim Carrey for The Truman Show, and no nomination for Jim Carrey, I believe, for Man on the Moon.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with him not getting nominated for that one because he was a gigantic prick to everybody. That's one of those where method acting went too far. Was he nominated for Eternal Sunshine either?
I don't think he was nominated for Eternal Sunshine.
That's also,
which, if that had happened to me 3 times on 3 very good movies, yeah, like
he may have been. I don't know. I only watched Eternal Sunshine like well after it was out, so I didn't really follow things. But yeah, I think we've all said our piece. We've complained. We've also celebrated some. I didn't have any celebrations because I will say, like, I was really happy that Parasite won Best Picture several years ago.
2019 was it?
Yeah, I think so. 2019.
Yeah, I think it was the year before the world ended.
Yeah, that was a very good win. I have, like, before that, I've really enjoyed Bong Joon-ho as a director. I've loved every movie of his that I watched before that. Has been great. One of his earlier movies is actually on Amazon. It's like is it Barking Dogs Never Bite, I think is what it's called. That's supposed to be a very weird movie. I need to check that one out. But yeah, I was really, really happy about that. And I was also really happy that a lot
Barking
of people,
Dogs Never Bite.
that a lot of people got mad that Joker didn't win. That filled me with joy. But
I could take or leave the movie, but I do believe Joaquin Phoenix did a fantastic job in that movie, and that's another thing that we've hashed before.
yeah,
but I do believe like that film was a fantastic performance. I think the people that were mad about the film not winning didn't understand the movie.
yeah,
And it further cemented with Folie à Deux, where they were like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like, well, this is what happens when the author or the creator is like, "You didn't understand my movie, so let me throw it way into your fucking face and just do something fucking completely bizarre." I've been there. It's called Dune Messiah.
that's a decent topic. Movies that people didn't get seem to have not gotten,
Or hell, just media that people
yeah,
didn't get.
yeah. That could be that gives a wider berth.
Future episode, maybe.
So yeah, again, I wanna bookend this by saying that in the end, these awards don't matter in the grand scheme of things. It is oftentimes, again, like I said, just Hollywood jerking itself off. But it is nice to see the movies that you like celebrated. It is nice. Like I do like the whole, pretty much everything that has to do with filmmaking is interesting to me. You know, movies are art, and I enjoy seeing art celebrated, even if it is kind of like sometimes some self-congratulatory stuff. But hopefully we maybe we made you think of like movies in a different way that you don't normally think, because you're like, oh, well, why do I give a fuck about these awards? Well, you know, these awards do have an effect on people. So, you know, and it is, like I said, it's good to see people, even with a nomination, is a big deal. You know, the fact that Demi Moore and The Substance were nominated for Best Picture, I think it's Coraline Farge was for Best Director. Like, that means something. Like that's a good thing. You know, to see a movie like that get nominated, because movies like that for a while weren't getting nominated. Seeing something like Everything Everywhere All at Once not only get nominated but win all the fucking awards is great. That's a movie where people have sausage fingers, not big thick fingers, literal fingers that are sausage that shoot mustard out of them.
This
And that
metaphor is frightening me, and I'm terrified.
And that movie won. So when they, like it can be very frustrating, and it's fun to complain when they get it wrong. And I think I think it's good to think of that as like a mental exercise. Well, why did they get it wrong? That's how I like to think of things. But when they get it right, it really feels good because you get to see a movie or a person that you really enjoy seeing their work. You get to see them celebrate and get to stand up there. And if you're like Adrian Brody, talk for 16 hours. So, hey, did you agree with these things? I know I threw out some hot takes that I know a lot of people are going, man, if Eddie hears this, he's going to kill me. Just for my Denzel Washington take.
I may have to send like the raw fucking, just the raw to make sure he gets all of it.
Yeah. Luckily we rarely ever see him, so it's probably okay.
I miss Eddie. What? No.
I mean, I do miss Eddie too, but I don't want him to hear this and then want to kill me. So do you agree with what is there something we left out? Is there a really big snub that you're like, fuck, why didn't they talk about this?
Let us know.
Let us know.
travelersontheomnibus at gmail.com.
Or say it directly on our Spotify.
Oh, I want to close out with one that's not Oscars, it's the Emmys. The Wire was never nominated for anything for outstanding drama or any acting.
Yeah,
that is insane.
Yeah,
I had to get that one out. So yeah, so all of our friends are dead. So there's nobody that we got to talk about.
Eddie's dead. Oh no!
Oh, shit.
Jody is still alive, everybody. Jody is still alive. He may not be here with us tonight, but he is still alive.
Which, by the transitive property, means that he's not our friend.
Well, gentlemen, we have an open spot.
No,
we don't. Jody, come back. Jody, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong.
So we want to close it by thanking Magnar Gaming for giving us this space to record in.
Do you like Elder Scrolls? They have the Elder Scrolls board game in stock. They got it in today.
$200.
You get a lot of stuff in that box.
Yeah.
It's a really big box, I'm assuming.
Every box comes with your own George R.R. Martin.
Let's not start me ranting about chip theory games.
If you open the box and it's got a red envelope in it, call the number. It'll go to right to Hidetaka Miyazaki, and he'll call you a fucker. And also say,
guaranteed.
He also say you died.
Yeah. They have other stuff too. Magic cards. They got the new Lorcana set in.
Still got copies of Shadow Dark ready for purchase.
Yep.
Along with some Shadow Dark zines and other supplements.
Yeah.
They have an upcoming Star Wars pre-release.
That's the CCG from Fantasy Flight.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
See,
come pre-order the 18 Magic sets that are coming out this year.
Like Spider-Man
that they just keep previewing on top of
Do
each
you
other.
hate Spider-Man? You could build a deck to destroy Spider-Man.
So
Do
they
you like
all run
Final
together.
Fantasy?
Yeah.
Would you like a giant cactus?
Yes. Would you like to spend an absorbent amount on Magic cards?
It's going to be weird when they do the Green Goblin card and he's not going to have green mana.
Mm-hmm.
His creature type is Goblin. They previewed at least one of them.
Of course.
There's going to be like
But
multiple.
Spider-Man's creature type is not spider.
Yeah, there you go.
He is hero.
And Dr. Octopus is not octopus.
Okay.
He is villain.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess that's it. So for Travelers on the Omnibus, I am Brady Davis.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
See ya later.
And we get to roll. Can we do the food episode next time?
What will we do with
I
food?
don't know, but I want to
You
do
keep saying food episode, but then you don't.
because we put the words food episode on the board.
I think it meant
and
like,
it has there's no fucking, what do you mean
because
by food episode?
I don't have any. We put that up there so somebody could go, hey,
would we
come up with an idea.
Would we do recipes?
I
don't know. I can't cook.
I think it was like food and media.
Food and meat.
That was the thing. Possibly, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we wanted to do food and media with Ghibli July, but we managed to pick all the movies that didn't have food.
Yeah,
there
was like one food in the media.
Yeah, there was like the soup that Billy Bob Thornton gave to Billy Crudup.
Yeah, we didn't
in Mononoke.
Yeah.
Well, damn it.